Hi there, it's Markley, and you're listening to Low Profile. Hey, this is Markley.
Hey man, it's Chris Newkirk calling.
Howdy, Chris.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Just
All right.
doing some homework, listening to the Julies. Not too bad.
That is the homework, I'm assuming, listening to the band.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't do this on my own time. I'm
No, I
totally
wouldn't.
playing. This is 100% my idea.
Oh,
So here we are, movie star. Put your love in my camera. Don't forget the time we spent. I watched you over and over. Rainy day, another matinee. You know I just had to see you. I'll wait for you in our darkened room. You'll never be quite like I need you. Take that first glance. Should I be like you? This is hard as it stole a sense. Since I've been locking up
The Julies formed in 1992 in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and broke up a little while before their only official release came out. But that didn't stop their music from making a connection with the few people who discovered it. Their 1997 EP, Love Life, has just been reissued on vinyl by Lost in Ohio Records. I spoke with their singer and lyricist, Chris Newkirk, as he reflected on his brief time in this project and the weight it still carries today. So you're in Jersey now, but
Yeah.
this band you were in, what do we want to say, like 23 years ago?
Oh, geez. From 1992 to I think 1997, we were
Wow.
together. And then when we broke up with the four of us, 4 out of the 5 of us went on for another year under another name. So we were called Riviera after that.
Riviera. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't break free from the 90s band name kind of vibe. Riviera. We wanted to, but yeah, we played, we wrote and played for another year or more, maybe up to 2. We had, so the 4 of us went on, we had another guitarist join us. So we were still a 5-piece, but
But we're skipping straight to the end here.
yeah, it's a short story.
I was reading the extended liner notes that came with the reissue of your band's Love Life EP,
Right.
which I first bought when I'm gonna say I was 15 or 16 years old when that came out.
Perfect age for it, man.
Oh man, yeah. No, I was looking over the lyrics and it just like took me right back to being like in my room, either cranking it up or having headphones on, and just kind of. I also in the liner notes for this Love Life thing, there was a little note that said send a self-addressed stamped envelope for the
Yes.
lyrics.
Yep.
And I was just,
Yeah.
I wasn't even really worried about it to begin with, but I saw that and I was like, hell, I got a stamp. Okay. So
I used to send those out like on a weekly basis. We used to get a lot of fan mail, and sometimes we would get like handmade creations from fans, but sometimes we would just get the self-addressed stamped envelope for the lyrics, and $1 because I charged $1
oh yeah, I think
for
that
my,
was in
for
there.
my time. I don't know. I mean, band's gonna make money one way or another.
Yeah, you got to buy
So
ink or pay for copies.
no, I printed them off my dad's printer. He had an office in my parents' home, and I just printed a batch off. So I did. It was just profit. It was just enough. it was beer money, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, a few dollars here and there. But no, that people sent a lot of people sent those self-addressed stamps in, and sometimes with letters for the lyrics. I was a little surprised, to be frank, and I think it was suggested to us maybe by the label at the time to do something like that, because originally when we released that, the CD was going to have like multiple pages and different pictures and the lyrics, etc., and it just kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Well, it was on Flying Tart Records, yeah.
Yeah,
I think a lot of their records were really kind of budget style releases, and they would sell their stuff pretty cheap, from what I remember too.
they were going bankrupt through almost the entire relationship, I found out towards the end. So I think that would probably account for the budget aesthetic was probably more about their bookkeeping and profitability more than anything. We didn't know that when we signed with them, and the signing with them was sort of just what we thought was just a pit stop on the way. We just wanted to release one thing with them, and that was the deal we signed. But it turned into quite an adventure to get that one thing out, and in the end, it came down to the fact that they were just. I guess they just overspent on a few things, and then they can never get back out from behind that 8 ball. And, gradually they, lost their label, but we were they already paid for our release, etc. So it was just a matter of getting it out there. It almost didn't get out there. But then when it did, they went bankrupt. Well, when they released it and then went bankrupt, and it was over for Flying Tart.
Wow. Yeah, they were. I had an interest in that label before the Julies came out, because I was mostly listening to Christian music that you could buy at at your corner Bible shop. And somehow this weird indie label had worked their way into that machine, and they sold this compilation called Starball Contribution for like
we were on
$3 or $4. Yeah, you guys came up on I think it was like the second track. It was Wake Up Christine. There was a lot of bangers on that CD from what I remember, and a lot of like really off the wall shit that you would not find, on like say like a Christian contemporary radio station. Totally. It was very like lo-fi and authentic and sincere, and
but then they had some. Wasn't like Sixpence None the Richer on that too, or
they
had
were
a few bigger, more mainstream sounding bands as well. I mean, that sort of had one foot into sort of the indie aesthetic, but yeah, they just, that whole scene, they just cast a wide net sonically. It was just like, if you weren't going to be, if you didn't sound absolutely mainstream, or if you weren't going to be played on a major radio station, then you were good enough for them, right?
But were you guys even trying to get into that circuit?
The Christian indie rock circuit? Or,
yeah.
No. In fact, it just kept coming for us. We didn't have any interest in it, really. None of us really grew up listening to Christian rock, or whatever you would call it, contemporary Christian music, or we may have had that in our families. I remember my parents at one point listened to stuff like Keith Green, but I don't. Sandy Patty, I remember that name. I don't remember any songs. I didn't grow up with it. I remember at one point they bought a tape at a Christian bookstore by Phil Keaggy.
Sure.
So somebody said, maybe it said, if you like this, then buy this.
That was a big move in that industry. If you walked into one of those stores, they got like a chart up where here's all the bands you're not allowed to listen to. Okay?
Well, that's it.
If you like
Yeah.
these bands, in the next column is here's what you call that genre of music, and then the next is Christian acceptable alternatives to these bands. And
And I never felt comfortable with that. To be frank, I mean, the idea is that you're not allowed to listen to this band. So here's a band that sounds just like them.
yeah.
And really, those bands, speaking as one of those bands, we were always envisioning ourselves as the band that you weren't allowed to listen to, not the band that you were allowed to listen to, just by virtue of where it was sold. Our lyrics weren't any different than they would have been otherwise, and I think that's the case for a lot of the bands in that
Sure.
scene.
Yeah.
I just think that there was an easy opportunity to get your music out and your music heard, and I don't mean to make that sound mercenary, but for our story was that we were out playing in New York, and major labels were coming out to see us, and cool indie labels were coming out to see us. We had Sire Records come out and A&M Records, and then I remember there was a indie label called Zero Hour, which was big in the early 90s, the mid 90s, and they came out with a contract. We played a show at CBGB's, and then they didn't like our stage performance. We moved around too much. They were very much a shoegaze label.
And you weren't shoegazing enough.
We were, yeah. They liked our sound because we sounded shoegaze, but then we moved around a lot.
Yeah.
The
that's very taboo.
the story
in that
goes,
scene.
they told our manager that the front man reminded him too much of Marky Mark, which at that time I guess was a backhanded compliment or a straight up insult. I can't tell which. If I looked a little bit more like him fitness wise, I'd take it more as a compliment, but I did not. I drank a lot of beer in that time. But he danced better than I did, and that meant I think I at least took it as a compliment for my moves, but maybe not so much my performance overall in terms of the scene. So, whatever.
I'm going
It
to go
didn't
out on a
work out.
limb and say that maybe beer was the wrong drug for that scene.
Probably too. I mean, I think I needed a more emaciated look first of all, so beer wasn't going to help. And then I think in terms of your performance, I think maybe you need something that's a little bit more lets you kind of like vibe in with the music a little bit more than beer. So I look maybe like we were more in for a pub fight than
Yeah.
kind of having a more psychedelic experience, and that label at least found that contrary to their vision for their vans, and so it goes.
I mean, I might argue that you guys did sneak in some lyrics that sound like phrases that would show up on Christian radio, but that turns out they're more like Christian pickup lines or something.
Well, that's an interesting take.
Well,
So give me an example.
I've got a heart full of God, and my eyes are full of you. I never said a word.
I've got a heart full of God, but my eyes are full of you.
Oh, that does. To your point, that it does sound like that, doesn't it? But no, not the intention behind the lyric. But I like that Christian pickup lines. What's the other one?
Baptize you in kisses. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So-
I mean,
No, I like that take. I think really what it was is you're talking about, first of all, like music is probably the language of relationships, right? Or a language of at least courtship.
Sure.
And, you know, again, I said that you were perfect age when you were listening to Love Life. You said you were 16. I was probably an overgrown teenager in my early 20s and mid 20s when we made that stuff. And I think as a kid that grew up in a Christian home, in like, I guess an evangelical Christian home in the 70s and 80s, you're sort of constantly wrestling with that identity versus the identity that you're forging on your own as an artist, as a musician, as a human, as a sexual being, as an intellectual being. And I think in a lot of the lyrics, there's this marriage that religious imagery and that like human intent. So I'd say a lot of those lyrics probably describe a sheltered, I wouldn't say sheltered maybe, but someone that was, a kid raised in the church that was dealing with lust, dealing with wanting to fall in love, dealing with, flings and relationships. And there was a lot of tension in that for me, and I got that out in writing.
Yeah.
So I think if you go and you read the lyrics, like those ones you mentioned, contextually in this song, you might find like the whole thing plays out as more of like a struggling with something like, womanizing or, virginity and losing it or something like that. I'd have to go back and read them myself and relive those moments, but that tension was manifested in me, sort of playing it out in lyrics. So playing with the multiple identities that I grew up in and that I was forging on my own.
Can't you see it? Can't you tell? Heaven knows it's my first time to hell. Take the time, show me around. I'll take any time you got from me. And I wanna hate you. But it's too late to. I guess I love you but it's enough to drive me mad. Drive me mad. Drive me mad.
I make a lot of references to heaven and hell on that record, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to laugh at all that now because, your mindset changes so drastically as you move through time. I have a hard time fathoming that was that much of an identity issue and attention, and I just didn't live my life as, my heart dictated a little bit more, but that I overthought it and had to wrestle those two sides of my identity or my thinking.
January has come out, and this is an EP that you recorded prior to Love Life. But
yeah,
it's
that was
just
the
seen
first
its
thing we made.
wide release on the cassette format and then on infinite release digitally.
Yeah, which is weird because Love Life isn't available digitally, not on streaming services and
Yeah.
but January is, and January has always been this thing where people have gotten my email or even back in the day phone number and have tried to track that thing down. It's been, I think, since Love Life allegedly sold so many copies and was so widely heard, and that was the only thing we ever did, it slowly got out that there was this, what was essentially a demo tape to get shows and to get, a label interested, which, it's the January EP, but we didn't really even see it as an EP. It was our demo. It's something that really got sent out in the mail more than bought. We sold it at shows. But now everybody can hear it again, and it's been a trip because it's literally this artifact from our past.
Did the Julies ever go on tour, like get way out of the element?
I wouldn't call it a tour. We just did little weekend jaunts. The label, had intentions of us touring and playing like festivals and stuff. But they went belly up, and then, because it took so long for them to release the record, we ended up breaking up in the time. We were broken up before the record actually was released.
I think I heard about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
We just couldn't wait any longer, and the tensions of waiting. And then we decided to go on for fun with the band Riviera after that. But then we were like, all right, we play with these Christian indie bands, and that's sort of what we do now. And and Riviera will be that, and then we'll maybe just release something on that and play a couple festivals. But then even that, by the time we did that for a year, we were like, yeah, we're not even gonna pursue this. Life started swallowing people up.
Yeah.
So it just didn't happen on the time frame that was given to us. But yeah, it's strange. It's strange to be in a band that was half a lifetime ago that didn't really go anywhere, really, and then people still care. I definitely struck by that, and I've had a milestone birthday this year. I've been around a while now, and it was all around. That's right when the re-release was. I was working with the label to get the Love Life re-released, and it just set me back in this nostalgic, time tunnel of sorts, where I'm just reliving those Julie days, which were some of the best years of my life. So it's pretty cool to, again, half a lifetime later, like, still be talking about this, even though I don't know if there's much to talk about in terms of the actual adventures of the band, but we didn't travel the world, and we weren't on a plane with Bono or anything like that. And I have friends that have done so much more with their bands and bands we played with, but it's cool to be at this point where people still excited about a demo tape of sorts being re-released, and then our other big release being put on vinyl. And it's been pretty exciting to me to actually relive that and hold the vinyl. Like, it's not something you thought about in the 90s. Maybe a 7-inch, but
right, yeah.
not like having a record. It sort of seemed like a bygone thing, or maybe if you're really big. So, with that whole renaissance, it's been cool.
Well, yeah, I guess Julies don't have a lot of crazy antics to speak of, but you guys got together and you made some music.
We
And
did.
that's-
Maybe we will again. Who knows? There's been conversations. Even maybe a little teaser. At least two of us are definitely doing something. Maybe more of us. Everything we were trying to do was to be or at least for me, I always wanted every song to feel like the last thing you hear in an '80s movie, right? Like,
Yeah, totally.
they could play you out and have that cinematic quality, and thus they all feel relational. All the songs, a lot of them feel like they're about relationships. Love Life is that. A lot of it is literally about relationships, thus the title. But yeah, there's times where I'm just like, I was like, at that time of my life, I was really into poetry, and I put all my like grown-up energy into writing poems, and then all my teen angst into writing Julie songs. So, I should have probably brought a little of the former into the latter. A little of that poetry, but oh well.
Hey, no regrets.
This is the mark I've left with the world. So, and my favorite Julie's moment, I'll give you this last thing, is the very beginning of Boy Wonder on Love Life. That intro with the drums and then the two guitars coming in and over the bass, and that is my favorite moment, one of my favorite musical moments ever, and where I feel like even though I had nothing really to do with the playing, I feel like I achieved a musical dream with that moment. And when I'd go to listen to them, sometimes all I needed to listen to the Julies again, which I do rarely, but I'd just go and listen to that part. That's all I need sometimes.
Watch me hurt myself again. This movie never ends. It just keeps playing on and on. So everyone's a star when they close their eyes. How come I keep unopened all the time? I don't wanna know. I don't wanna be a love story. A love story. Souls on fire, so you light a cigarette. I thought you'd be through with me, but it isn't over yet. Over yet. Upset movie set, ready, set, go. Upset movie set, ready, set, go.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for hanging out and diving in, going on a time travel here mentally.
Yeah, brother, thanks for having me.
Don't try, don't wonder why. Can't look you in the eye. Well, maybe I'm looking for myself. You said it happened only once, one time, or maybe sometimes, but now it happens all the time, and now my soul's on fire, so you light a cigarette. I thought you'd be through with me, but it isn't over yet. Over yet. Upset movie set, ready, set, go. Upset movie set, ready, set, go.
That was my conversation with Chris Newkirk of the Julies. He currently works in advertising and has continued writing songs, including some that were commissioned for film, sung by Ian McGlynn. The Julies album Love Life has been recently reissued by Lost in Ohio, as well as their original demo, January, in a digital format. Thanks for listening to Low Profile. Catch you soon.
You said it happened only once, one time, or maybe sometimes, but now it happens all the time, and now my soul's on fire, so you light a cigarette. I thought you'd be through with me, but it isn't over yet. Over yet. Upset movie set, ready, set, go. Upset movie set, ready, set, go.
Hey, you're still here? Well, if you support this show on Patreon, you'll be entered into a drawing to win an autographed copy of the Julies Love Life LP that has been given to us by Lost in Ohio. So go to patreon.com/lowprofile and sign up. Flexible monthly donations. It really helps the show out. And even if you don't win the drawing, I'll still send you some swag. Thanks a lot. Catch you later. Subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Kiss your dog.
File with Mark Morrison.